All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Nikki and Brie Show.
That explains a lot of my one-night stands where I was like, the bad boy, I'm going to sleep with him.
Okay, wait. Can you back up? A lot of your one-night stands. How
Actually,
many
not a
one-night
lot.
stands? Because I feel like I know your number of people you've slept with.
No, I do. And one-night stand means like someone you don't know and you're like, so
No, how many?
I think I've only had, like, what do you mean one-night stands? Are
You
talking
just
about,
said
like,
a lot of one-night
Okay,
stands, so you tell me what you just said.
okay, so I was, well, I was kind of joking, but like, are you talking about the number of people I slept with or people I like had a one-night stand with?
A one-night stand with.
Oh, I don't know. Like, I mean, definitely not a lot, like couple.
Really?
That I slept with one night?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a couple.
Okay, there's like for sure 3, you know.
Oh, okay. 3?
For sure, you know. That I slept with once and never went back?
Oh, yeah. I know of 2.
Well, no, yeah.
Oh,
we'll have to talk.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
you're
talk.
forgetting.
But
Remember, we're
anyways.
almost 40, so
Oh, yeah.
take it
No,
back to
I have one
my-
of the greatest. I literally got robbed on a one-night stand. I have one of the
know.
greatest stories ever.
Can you please tell that story? Because the one thing about it is you didn't fully have a one-night stand. I mean, I feel bad saying this is really raunchy. Your mouth had a one-night stand, but then you didn't do
No.
the other thing.
No, you're thinking of another guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Another story.
Oh, that was the bartender.
You
We're
guys,
talking about
I
the
could write a
hockey
book,
player.
but now I have too much respect for my husband, so I'll just say it on my podcast, and I won't put it in a book.
Wait, really quick.
No, the
it was
one
a
when I
hockey
got
player.
robbed. Yeah, so I
Okay.
was 21, and
Mhm.
I was living the Sex in the City life in Pacific Beach, California.
They might argue that with you.
I know, right?
Not too
In
glamorous.
flip-flops. But so I was with my girlfriends, all my Hooter friends, and I was like, I'm going to have a one-night stand tonight because I've never had a one-night stand. Everyone like cheers me on. And I'm like, I'm going to pick a guy in this bar, and I'm just going to bring him home with me, and we're going to have sex. And a hockey team walks in and we're high-fiving like dudes. I'm like, yes, perfect night to say I'm going to have a one-night stand.
And good for you having the confidence knowing
Thank
that one
you.
of them was going to go home with you.
Honestly, I had amazing confidence. And I was in my $5 t-shirt and probably my $15
Oh,
pants.
don't even tease me with Pink Zone.
The pink zone
Oh,
girl. That was
girl.
it. So major confidence. So I pick a guy. It works out. He comes home with me. He's beautiful. He's foreign. He has muscles. And then I feel so bad. And I hope this is so wrong. But then he pulls his pants down. And not that I'm saying it was a deformity, but all I know immediately in my head, I was like, oh, I'm not wasting a number on that. Because for some reason in college, you cared about numbers.
I would have robbed you too.
It was like, I knew I wouldn't even have felt penetration, put it that way.
Wow.
No, I feel so bad.
Then I would have just
I'm
done
just
it and not
telling
even
myself
counted it.
maybe he was on something that made it so poquito.
Okay, now we're going to speak Spanish.
Well, I feel bad saying crazy small. Like, I mean, pinky finger smaller than that small. Like, I had a double look because I was like, and then I got like a little weird. And then this is when I couldn't do it. I can't believe I'm saying this story. Artem, I'm so sorry.
I'm not. I want to
He goes to put the condom on. I just see it fall to the ground. And
Oh,
I look
fuck.
at him and I'm like,
Yeah.
so I play that I feel sick.
I'm here for a good time, not an STD time. Mhm.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to get an STD and have no penetration and count this as a number. This is not going to be my night.
Yeah. There's a lot of
No,
red
no.
flags in that situation.
Beyond. So I like just was like, I don't feel good. And I didn't even like walk him out. So, you know, waitresses, we only have cash. And I had it all downstairs on that table, you know, where I lived in PB. So when he left, and I guess, I mean, there was no Uber or anything there, so you'd have to call a cab. I'll never forget when I went downstairs and all my cash was gone. Everything, every cash that I that I worked hard for that week, because we'd always get our cash for the week and then go to the bank. All gone. But I deserved it. I remember even at 21 laughing really hard and not being pissed, and I was like, bitch, you deserve it.
Yeah.
He knew why you just sent him home.
And to be honest, I'm kind of on his side.
Okay, the condom fell to the ground.
Wow. I mean, yeah,
I don't even,
but
yeah.
still, I don't know. I guess I'm different. I just
You
feel
would have
bad.
went with it?
I mean, not like bareback. No, I would have figured out something, grabbed a rubber band. I don't even know.
Oh, God.
What do you
Earthy
do?
Brie, do you mind having a paper bag from Trader Joe's?
Ew, not a paper
Or, I
bag.
mean,
I still care
well,
about
they
myself.
wouldn't even have plastic bags. You wouldn't even have plastic in your house, so what would you do?
Well, I mean, condoms are they plastic or are they lambskin?
Yeah,
Actually,
but what are
that's
you
kinda
going to go
fucked
do?
up.
You're going to go get lambskin and, like, create it yourself?
Wait, what if you're a vegan? You can't.
Well, they probably have condoms, right?
Yeah. See, the condoms, I'm out of it.
We've been out of it a
over
long
decade.
time. Anyway, so that was my one night stand. I mean, then I ended up having a few more after that because I was like, no, I got to try this again. And I succeeded a few times. But I will say one thing about one night stands is they can be very sad. I realized that too. I hated that empty feeling.
Totally. I was like, I should have just masturbated and cried myself to sleep or something.
Yeah, but see, what we didn't have back then is like Netflix or like Peacock
yeah,
or one
no
of these
one
streaming.
Netflixed and chill.
No, so
ever.
if you missed like Friends at 6
On
or 7
Thursdays.
p.m., so when it's late night, like what do you do? Like
go to the bar.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's where I was at all the time, like in college and at the beach. But yeah, I remember it was like my it was always when you had to do the walk of shame. And I remember one of my walk of shames, I was like, ew, I hate this feeling. It's so gross. And oh my God, I'm still in my outfit. And that was it. I was like, no more one night stands.
Yeah,
They're fun when you could kick people out, but when you're the one that's leaving in the morning, that is not fun.
Oh my gosh. By
And
the way,
there's nothing worse when you don't remember someone's name. Remember that one? I forgot his name twice during my sex session.
Because he asked you.
But who asked?
That's
Don't ask
weird.
someone's name.
I remember that guy.
He was like, what's my name? I was like, Brian. Just kidding. I don't know. And
What was his name?
I don't know.
He might be listening, but I doubt
it. I still can't remember his name.
Shut up.
No.
Jordan?
Gary? Not Gary.
Definitely not Gary.
Why not? What's wrong with that name?
No, because it was more like a Jordan. It was like
I can remember his face. He was a handsome guy, tall.
Super handsome.
But I can't remember his name. That sucks. It was great until he kept asking me to say, like, what his name was. And I was like, oh, God.
I mean.
Yeah. I forgot twice within like 10 minutes. I feel bad. It was like
Wait,
a name that
so
didn't stick.
In sex, he asked you to say his name, and then
No, not say his name. He asked me what his name was.
And then you go, I don't know. So then he told you.
Yeah.
This is interesting. And then he asked you again. He then wanted to trick you or test you in the middle of sex, and then you got it wrong again.
I forgot. Yeah.
Well, that guy needs to talk to a therapist because there's issues there.
Well, I think I left there and I realized, like, I'm not going back. I made it out alive. I'm so happy. Yeah, that's when I started to make a rule, like, you only have sex at your house because you know the exits. You know where good shit is to hurt someone if need be.
So the serial killer knows where you live then.
Okay, this is getting way out of control. I'm so happy that I'm married and I have one dick for the rest of my life. I'm so happy about that.
Oh my gosh, I agree.
And he loves me and he protects me and I know it's all good. And the sex is amazing and I know his name.
You know what I'm going to tell Artem to do on April Fool's Day? I'm going to be like, please ask Nicole her name in sex. And he'll be like, why? And I'm like, just do it.
Ask her my name or ask him my name?
Oh, no, ask Nicole your name.
Oh,
just
God,
to throw
this
you.
went like so far. By the way, I still have a shitload more stories. So maybe on more podcasts you could get more of my stories because they're pretty crazy. Well, Brie, I feel like we have to start to ask Paris business advice because we've always been in awe of how you've built your brand. And what's your advice for women in business or even people who are starting to build their own brands? Because, I mean, you have created such a massive empire. And I truly, believe when I said is like, you were literally like one of the first women to do it.
Yes.
Like Marilyn Monroe was one, of course, but it was like after she had passed and like what came after that. But you have
and you did it with no social media.
Yeah,
like
at a time that was so hard to build something like that.
Yeah.
And did you know what you were doing like in the moment? Like this is what people are catching on to and this is how I'm going to start my empire.
For me, it just really happened naturally. Like you said, I had no social media. I had no publicist, no agent, like no stylist. I was literally just being myself. And I think just coming from the Hilton hotel family, I just kind of had like that branding mind. And I was like, if there can be like a hotel that's a brand, I'm like, why can't I just be Paris? And I think that was like a big driving force with me because I didn't want to be known as the Hilton hotel granddaughter. I wanted just to be known as Paris. So right when I did The Simple Life and we had like 13 million viewers the first night, I was like, wow, this is actually like a huge platform that I can leverage into building a business. So that's when I started developing my first fragrance. And now I'm about to release my 29th fragrance and I have 19 product lines. So I really just started off just thinking like a businesswoman and wanting to make my family proud and be independent and really just finding the right people to partner with, because it's definitely important to do your research. And I feel like nowadays everyone's very blessed with technology that you do have social media and you can get your face out there, and, it's just about finding the right people to partner with and, to manufacture your products, and finding out like what you're passionate about and what you want your brand to represent and to be about. I think that's like a really important step in the beginning.
Yeah, that's so true. And, coming from the family that you came from, and especially such powerful, smart men, your dad, your grandfather, like what were things like they would say to you as like you just started to build your own empire outside of the Hilton family?
They were just always so proud of me. I remember my grandfather, especially, he was so proud. Like, he would always just like TiVo and like record every single interview and every show I was on, and like show all of his friends. And he was just so cute. And I remember one day he said to me, he's like, I used to be known as Baron Hilton, the owner of Hilton Hotels, and now I'm known as Paris Hilton's grandfather.
Oh my God, I have chills.
I just thought that was so cute.
That is so cute.
Yeah, because I always looked up to my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my father as amazing business mentors, and would always ask them for advice. And I feel like they really instilled that hard work ethic in me. And I think that's important when you come from, a privileged family where, you can spoil your kids and give them whatever they want, but that's just going to destroy them in the end. And I'm really grateful that they always really instilled that in me to not spoil us and to make us want to do something with our lives. And I think that's the reason my sister and I are the way that we are.
Gosh, amen to that. I so agree. That's Brie and I had that similar of our grandparents' influence of, we always have felt it's helped make us the women we are today. And it's crazy because you feel like those generations are just going, that wisdom that they had. And right. I get, there was a time where they didn't have a lot, and, the world was still felt kind of new. But that's so, I love that. Like, anytime I hear anything with the grandparents, it's
right.
It's so sweet and touching.
It feels really iconic. But it's something that is really crazy. So Nikki and I used to be in Hollywood, gosh, how long ago? Like, we'd go to all the little hotspots like Shelter, Concord.
Was that early 2000s?
Something. But we remember when you would come in and you would just make the whole club like turn and look. Like, you would change the vibe. It's like all of a sudden everyone would be like on a high and just have so much fun.
I feel like that's when everyone knew, okay, tonight's going to be a fun night.
Paris Hilton is here. But we got to see it like firsthand, like how crazy the paparazzi was with you. And it was at a time when, we were like, whoa, like this is, we were from San Diego and Arizona, and like seeing it firsthand, and it was with you, it was wild. And, like, I know we're aging ourselves on when it was,
Who cares?
But it was kind of fun for us to see you in that element, because really no one else got to, because there's no social media or any of it. So if you didn't see it firsthand, you didn't get to see, but you would walk in to all those places and just own them. And even there'd be so many celebrities in that spot, because celebrities would always go out all the time because they didn't have to worry about someone taking their picture, like on cell phones. So I felt like it was always like clubs filled with celebrities, but you were always the one to make everyone's heads turn.
How fun were those days back then?
Thank you. Oh my God, it was so much fun. I feel like kids today have no idea what fun is, because back then when no one had an iPhone and no one had social media, no one was looking at a phone. No one had a camera. Everyone was just free and feeling comfortable, and everybody was out, and it was like the sickest crowd and like the best people. And now it's just like, I don't know, it's not fun anymore.
Not at all. Hollywood is not the same. Hollywood will never be the same. One, Travis is literally Terry's biggest fan. How cute was that? Terry always on set. When he'd find Terry, and he always wanted to know where Terry was, but he'd give him all his movie lines, because Terry's been in all of Travis's favorite movies.
It was, and sometimes I wonder if that's a good thing, because I was like, you look at him and his buddies, you're like, man, maybe I should do some more intelligence fare.
No, you've done great.
Idiocracy. He loves white chicks. He loves all that stuff. And again, I do too. I'm a big
and Friday After
Such
Next.
Good comment.
Friday After Next.
That's one of my favorite.
I go anywhere and they're like, hey man, that's Damon right there. That's Damon right there. And you're like, okay, no, I have my grandbaby. I'm not. You know what? Well, you know what's crazy is I did a movie. I did Training Day back in
Oh
the
my
day.
gosh, I love
And
Training Day.
what's wild is that I'm in the big scene with Denzel Washington at the end when he's like, King Kong ain't got nothing on me, right? And I'm one of the gang members and the whole thing. Now, back then, it was great. But right now, I ruined Training Day for everybody.
I'm back. Like, wait.
They're like, that's the dude from White Chicks.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And it's like, it's this big, serious moment that got Denzel his Oscar. And there I am, you know, they're like, hey, man, it's
oh, my God, I love that.
Right there.
Okay, now I need to go back and watch that. That is incredible.
It'll blow your mind. I have people still to this day, they're like, wait a minute. There's not a day that goes by that they're not like, oh my God, wait a minute. Terry Crews is in Training Day. I saw it today, and it messes with my head.
I could so see that, but then it just shows how talented you are that you can like play these extreme characters.
That is true.
But I could see that you have that. Like even just when we did the Nickelodeon thing, like you can do it all. You and your son. Oh my gosh, Isaiah.
Let me tell you.
Wow.
Listen, thank you for being so sweet to him. You know, he is 16 years old and he could not stop talking about how nice you were to him and how amazing you were. And he was so blessed. I'm not going to tell anything else about the show.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. We had such a blast. And you know, I don't even like golf. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a golfer. I like something much more extreme. You know what I mean? I like to work out for 3 hours. Okay. But running around on a grassy field for 9 hours is not my idea of a good time. And I had a blast. I mean, what a day. And to do it with my son and just I just got to say, you were hanging with my wife and my son.
She's amazing.
We had nothing but great things to say about you and how you treated it. It was just, you know, it's special. It's special. Yeah, you know, come on. It's Hollywood too. You know, sometimes I've been disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get that.
I have too.
Somebody for more than 5 minutes and it's like, oh man.
Yeah,
right.
No. I know.
I think we've all had that.
We have.
And that's why sometimes they're like, don't meet your heroes. I met one person who I looked up to so much. And then I was so disappointed. And it was like, oh, really?
But Tara, I told Nicole the same thing about you with me. Because when you guys were doing the NBC spot at Super Bowl and I was just the tag along, but you always made me feel included and you were so sweet. And like, you included me in things. And I told Nicole, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's such a good person. Like, I love him.
Totally.
You guys are together. I mean, come on now. You guys are stars together. Like, you know what I mean? I'll be honest. It's like there's Nikki, and then when you both are together, it's like superpowers.
Superpowers unite.
I was like, oh, there they go. You know? I mean, you know, you guys are an entity, like big time. So believe you me, when I saw you, I was like, oh my God, she's gonna be in the press. She's gonna be doing it. I didn't want to bother you because I thought, is it proper to bring her in on the press too? Because we want all the light we can get, you know what I mean?
No, she loved it. You made her feel so special.
You really did.
Well, you know, talking about power, I had no idea that you wrote a memoir and it's coming out called Tough, My Journey to True Power. And Terry, I had no idea that you had a battle with mental health. And I would love for you to talk to us of why you wanted to write this memoir, what it's about, what it means to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, you have to understand, you know, the definition of tough for most men is the ability to kick everybody's ass. Yeah. And, you know, the turning point for me, when I was a kid, my father was extremely abusive. I mean, when I say abusive, my earliest memory was him knocking my mother out. I mean, hitting her in the face and knocking her out cold. Okay. So my whole life, I mean, one of the things people see, oh yeah, you got muscles and that. And I didn't do it to get football or to get, you know, sports or girls. I did it and I worked out because I thought one day I would have to kill him.
Oh my God.
That's just the real deal. I mean, I lived in fear. It was one of those things. My 18 years in that house was one of, man, you know, a hairpin, you know, trigger. anger, just anything could go wrong. And I just wanted peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so when I became an adult, and I was 30 years old, literally, and he hit my mother again.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat his ass.
Wow.
But it didn't do anything. See, this was the twist. The twist was horrifying to me that it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tough. I was tough. I protected my mama. I did all this. He's on the ground bleeding. He's hurt. I'm standing over him and I'm in tears because I'm like, this ain't supposed to happen.
Right.
This is not what it is. And I had a crisis. When I say crisis, it was like, I think I got all of this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what these guys, what society and whatever is telling you that this tough stuff is about. I was like, this is not working. You know what I mean? Because the results don't work. They're not, like, you didn't fix anything. In fact, you just broke everything up. You know what I mean? Because let me tell you, most guys would rather be feared than loved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because that doesn't do anything but tear people down. And I said, and then, let me tell you, and then after that, my wife was like, I'm out. I don't like who you became. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
And I had to revamp my entire life. I mean, my whole existence, everything from what I thought being a man was, but I realized that I didn't get these muscles to tear down. They were to build up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have, courage and strength to scare people, but it was to protect people. And I said, my God, I got it all wrong. And another thing I thought, and this was so serious because I had been, what they call it. I got all the wrong information and believed it. But I believed that I was more valuable than every woman in my life simply because I was a man.
Mm-hmm.
Because you treat it like that, you're the man, you're the one. And so I was above my wife. I wouldn't listen to her because I was like, but you don't know what you're talking about. I'm a man. But that's idiotic. It was stupid. You know what it's like? The phrase I like to say is like, this determining who's going to be the boss of a business by the bench press.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
People be like, but you don't know anything about inventory or no, but I got the biggest bitch, so I'm the boss.
Right.
It means zero.
Yeah.
Zero. And that hit me because that's the world I was living in. Like, I'm the strong man. But my wife is that, but that was dumb. No, you can't say that because I'm the man. See, she's like, all right, bye. And I said, something is wrong. And I had to revamp my whole life. I went into therapy. I had never gone in, but my culture was a thing where if you ever went to therapy, you are crazy and you can't cure crazy. That was the whole thing. So for me, I just delved into equality. Actually, and what I realized is that because that erroneous thinking actually made me half a man.
Mm-hmm.
But if you realize that everyone is equal, that everyone is on the same level, you become a full person.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So it's weird. The thing I was looking for, it's almost like drinking salt water in the middle of the ocean. You want to quench your thirst, but you are killing yourself at the same time. And I had to realize, I had to get that good stuff in me, the good, fresh water, fresh, real truth. And man, let me tell you something, it changed everything. And I had to write this simply because, one thing that men don't do, we don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk to each other. One thing, I was always jealous of my wife because she could call a friend and talk about her feelings, talk about what she's going through. And I would call my boy up, hey, how you doing? I'm good. Mm-hmm. How you doing? Good. All right, man, I'll talk to you later.
Right. So
but nobody's sharing. Like nobody's telling anybody anything. And I realized I'm not going to do that. I said, Terry, you got to tell your story. And if it helps people, then that's what it's going to do. But you got to tell it. You got to tell it all. And it got real. Let me tell you, it gets real vulnerable. It gets real into all the dirt. but I had to tell her.
Do you guys remember the first time you both met?
I tried to block that out of my mind. No, we do, because nobody knew who the hell he was when he walked in the room. Is that what you're going to say, Blake? That meeting?
That meeting was the first time I met a lot of people who went on to be, big influences in my life, because it was a meeting at NBC Universal, and you guys have seen this building, right there at Universal, at the Universal Studios lot. There's that high-rise building that's like, the secret building or whatever, and at the top of that was the very first ever production meeting for The Voice, and I got there on time, and I think Carson may have been there too. So it was the first time I met Carson, the day that I met Adam, the day that I met Christina Aguilera and CeeLo, and the network people and the producers of the show that I, went on to continue working with for the next 12 years now. So it's easy for me to remember that day, because Carson, it was like he was the least important person there, and has continued to be that in my life.
That's right. I was the least person of status in that room until you walked in. And I remember finally they're going to ask that guy to valet park Mark Burnett's car, not me. So I was relieved. But it's funny, we joke about it. But yeah, when we met Blake, you have to remember The Voice. What was going on in when did it start? 2002, I think. I mean, it was like really.
Oh my God!
Wow.
2011.
2000
was
it
it
11?
2002. Yeah. We were graduating high school.
So yeah, 2000. So 2010 or something. American Idol is the juggernaut of all things in American television. More people were voting for the finale of American Idol at the time than they're voting for the president of the United States.
Wow.
I mean,
That's the sort of viewership that show is spitting out. So watching people sing on television is at a premium. So much so that every network is trying to get one of these shows. And Fox had one called The X Factor that was working very well in Europe. And Fox America was rumored to be fast tracking that format to bring it into America, to add into the American Idol mix. NBC wanted to get into the game and went to Holland. Holland is a country of 1 million people. And it was a very important territory, because Holland was the only place that had both their version of American Idol and X Factor on, and they also had a third show with these big giant red chairs turned around, and it was called The Voice. They had 3 singing shows. And so Mark Burnett and these guys from NBC went to Holland, like literally went over there to watch it. And The Voice came on, and it beat both of these other shows in the ratings by like a long shot.
Wow.
And so they bought the format right then and there, brought it back to the States, and basically landed, and then called Mark Burnett, who's the most prolific television producer. And they fast-tracked this thing. Like, they earmarked a ton of money. They wanted to beat X Factor coming to the marketplace. So I was one of the first people on the ground floor of The Voice. So who are going to be these coaches? They have to be the best names in music. Who's the voice of my generation? Undoubtedly Christina Aguilera. I mean, she just is. She was. And then CeeLo, and then the rock star Artem. And so we had to hurry, though. We had to hurry to get to air. We're going to start shooting. We're going to shoot for the fences and try and beat Idol and this other show. But we were one coach short, and we couldn't find anybody. And so somebody threw like a dart. They're like, who cares who we get? Let's just get anybody. One of these sort of things. And then it was this guy, Blake Shelton, who nobody had heard of, except I think like 50 people in Nashville, I think, had heard of him. And so he came in.
Blake, we used to play your music in high school.
And then we shot the show immediately. And 12 years later, nobody's had a bigger bounce on that show than this nobody, Blake Shelton. He's now the biggest celebrity on earth. Isn't that crazy?
I agree. It is crazy.
You are like America's sweetheart, Blake.
Oh, is that right?
World sweetheart.
That right?
You are. Yes.
But it's
America's
crazy.
sweetheart. I love it.
America's
You
sweetheart.
are. But it is crazy because I do feel like The Voice, like, it exploded so quick, but everyone instantly became like massive stars. Like it was just so fun. I mean, I watched it all the time.
Well, Carson, you were already iconic.
Yeah. I mean, TRL, don't even get us started. We
Yeah.
watched all the time. I don't think anyone ever missed TRL.
Oh, well, thank you. That was a good time. I mean,
Yeah.
Voice was just like, because I was a radio DJ, they were like, I hated American Idol personally because I didn't like the way that they made fun of people. I didn't understand what was so funny about somebody who wasn't a great singer and like bursting their dreams. I also was like, who are these people to be judging them? Like, are they big singer? You know, so when The Voice, their whole idea was like, no, we're not going to make fun of people. We're actually going to find really good singers. We're going to get really qualified musicians to not be judges, but be coaches. And we're going to try and inspire and all that. That's why I really wanted to do the show. So I
love that. Yeah. And when you guys met, did you guys just immediately start roasting each other? Was it just like that bromance at first sight, or
pretty quick? He was married to Adam at the time, so I watched them.
You guys left Blake or Carson out?
You know, yeah. Carson wasn't. It's interesting. I think Carson and I, we did hit it off the bat. I mean, I think we knew we were going to be buddies, but I just didn't see Carson as much back then. You know, as I saw and worked with the other coaches, and it would still be that way probably if we didn't go out of our way to find each other's dressing rooms or hang out when the show's not even on the air, you know, because, you know, Carson as the host of the show, he's in a different lane. So we seem like when he walks up on the stage and he's reading the teleprompter, and it's just as easy for him to go away. And so we kind of over the years have just become closer and closer and you know, so to your point, it has become like this bromance because we can't be away from each other. We try to find each other backstage and drink and make fun of, you know, the other coaches behind their back.
And that's how Barmageddon came about because during COVID, The Voice never stopped. And then we used to be able to bring like people, you know, like families or like agents or like makeup or assistants or, you know, whatever your squad is, whatever. And they killed all that. You're only allowed to bring one person. And that was pretty much people's like makeup artists, you know. And so Blake and I ended up spending, you know, remember there's 2 seasons of The Voice in one calendar year. So by default, basically he's like, if I were in jail, he would be like the guy who just happened to be in the cell next to me, you know? Like, hey man, are you still awake over there? Yeah. Tell me a story. Yeah, but then we really started hanging and I tried to eat sort of healthy and all Blake would order is Buffalo Wild Wings. So I loved to eat lunch with him and I would just basically ignore my salad and eat all of his wings with him. And then we came up with Barmageddon.
Yeah.
I love that. So when Brie and I love us some wings.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I think the only time I've ever eaten wings on set is at Barmageddon. When we had a little break, I like smashed wings. I'm like, I can't believe I'm in my outfit smashing wings right now, but they were delicious. But I'm curious, when you guys want to have like a night out, like Nicole and I will always text and be like, ooh, let's go grab some wine and we'll try to find like a cute lounge. Well, what's your text exchange when you guys want to go out? Are you like, oh, let's go grab a couple beers or let's just hang out? Like I would love to know.
It's always going to a house. It's never let's go out somewhere like, and Carson can't make it very long either, by the way. I wish you would have been there the other day, Brie. I know you were busy, but you know, when we had the premiere party, Carson literally, Nikki can confirm this, was literally in his pajamas at the party by 9:45 and left.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
That
is a true thing.
There's not a lot of let's go party, and if you're friends with Carson, it's more like, hey, how about brunch?
Yeah.
Brunch. And then
how about the early bird special?
Yep. Yeah. Carson, I feel like he's like one of those when you're at a party and then it's like 9:00 hits and he's like, oh, I need to go grab my phone, like, or what a girl would use as a purse, and then he's just gone.
Irish exit, dude. I'm the king of it. I'm the king of it. Because no one's going to remember. Everybody gets like caught up in the events of the evening and having fun. It's not like they wake up the next day when there was 75 people in the room and their first thought is, where'd that Carson Daly go? Did I ever say goodbye to him last? Like no one does that.
Yeah.
Like I saw him, he was there at some point. But yeah, no, Blake's right. We usually do hang out. Well, Blake got so famous so fast. And I think it was even before Gwen. Remember we went to dinner in LA that one time and Blake wouldn't go to we had to find a restaurant where he could go through the kitchen because there was paparazzi in LA and all that kind of stuff. And we went to Vitaly's restaurant, I think. Was that night? I don't know. When we do try and go out in LA, it's just a pain in the ass because of the paparazzi chasing him. So we usually go to a house and hang out.
Which is always better.
It is.
I always prefer being at houses. I mean, it's nice to I love ambiance. So I do like to hear people's chatter and laughing. Like I do love energy.
We love
but
vibes.
yeah, we do. But sometimes when you're at a house, it's cozy and nice and you can be in your PJs and have a drink and no makeup on, which feels good.
And it's just peaceful.
It is, especially with kids. I feel like then the kids can run around and I'm not stressed out and it feels better.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of kids, is there any advice you guys have as dads? Like for new moms, like raising kids? Because your guys' kids are older. And so I'm curious, here we have 2-year-olds where you have a 2 and a 5.
A wild one. I got a wild boy.
Both.
And my girl's easy.
Well, there's different perspectives. Like I lost my dad when I was young. And then I had a stepdad come into my life who I had to accept, like I called him, his name was Richard. And I called him Richard for a while just to kind of see what this guy was all about. I was 8. And then just by him being a great dude, I remember the day when I went to my mom, my sister and I had a little meeting in my room. I was 8 and she was 11. And I go, I think I really like this guy. It's been a year maybe. And she's like, I really like him too. I go, I think I'm ready to call him dad. And she goes, I am too. And then we went and told my mom and my mom started to cry. And then she's like, well, let's tell him at dinner. And then at dinner, my mom said, kids, do you have something to say to Richard? We're like, can we call you dad? And he and so anyway, that's a father perception or perspective that, maybe Blake's experiencing a little bit of that with Gwen's kids. But I had that with my stepdad and then my biological dad who died when I was young, but I always say God gave me 2 wonderful fathers. So I feel like parenting is, whether it's motherhood or fatherhood, is just really about the relationship that you create with the young person, whether you're a father figure or an actual parent or a guardian or a best friend or whatever. It's really, I always try and talk to my kids like they're 30 years old. My wife's like, really? She's 8. She doesn't understand that. I go, you know what? She'll intellectually rise to the occasion. I'm always trying to make everything a teachable moment because, and like Blake, we love to be with our families. Our families actually spend a lot of time together. Blake's extended family with Gwen and his family too on his side and my family. And we just have fun. I mean, at the epicenter of Barmageddon or at the epicenter of Blake and I's friendship, if we had to narrow it down to one word, it's fun. Like Blake and I, our biggest commonality is that even though we come from different parts of the world, we see the world, I think, through very similar eyes, but our priorities are very similar. And that's not forgetting where we come from, showing respect to our fellow mankind and love of family and not being afraid to put in a hard day's work. These are simple things that Blake and I hold in high value, but we like to have fun, man.
You guys do. You guys are so
at an insurance seminar and I sat next to Blake. I mean, we'd be laughing we'd find a way to ruin it and have fun. And I see that in my parenting style and I see that in Blake's.
Gosh, that's beautiful, Carson. When I was on set, I have to say it was the one time where I didn't want it to end. Yeah. I really wanted it to keep going. And it's because that's the energy you guys do bring to set is just fun. You're down to earth. I'll admit, I was really nervous to talk to you two. And you guys were the easiest people to talk to. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, should I go up and say something to them? Or is that overstepping? And you guys are just so warm. And it was probably my favorite set I've ever been on.
Wow, that's nice.
I didn't want it to end. It was so fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I say we get into our game.
Yes. We got 10 minutes left. Let's do this.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Can
we have a game.
Season 2?
Usually do it with alcohol, but it's early in the morning. So.
And I have to go to my kids' Christmas play.
You're going to go to that sober?
Yeah, she's Mother Mary in a play. So
oh yeah, you better be Be on your best
You know,
behavior.
She can't miss that.
She was practicing her songs this morning.
Oh,
And I had to
She's
set out her
so
outfit.
cute.
She's
I
so
wish
cute.
I could go.
I know.
I'm so bummed.
Those are like the fun little things to do. I can't wait. All right.
Okay, so
What?
the game we're going to play, we're calling it Bromageddon.
mhm.
And we're celebrating, of course, the biggest bromance with a special game that's all about you two.
Mm-mm.
So what is it? It's just like Newlyweds Game, right?
Yes.
That's-
Okay, so first question. Who's better at keeping the family group text going?
Oh, I think I am.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Blake?
I agree with that.
Wait a minute, are we supposed to write our answers down and then like show them, or what, is that how
No,
we do
you
it?
can just we can just talk.
Okay.
Fine.
Make it easier.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually take the time, to take a picture and put like a nudifier app on it and make it look like Carson's balls is hanging out of his pants or something,
That's so good.
and then send it to the family. I'll actually go take 15 minutes out of my day to make him look stupid on there, where he'll just write like, LOL, or he's very busy down there in his bar at his house.
I'm shocked. I'm in shock when I get those pictures of all sorts of anatomy and weird things that you find at your ranch when you're walking around bored, trying to change light bulbs or put hay out or corn, or whatever. He thinks he's farming, but Gwen just goes to the market and buys like chickens and stuff, like buys food like you and I buy food and bacon and all just regular food, but they live on like 900 acres of farmland. And it's like, well, where's the farm food? And Blake
I love it.
But he's starting to plant those fields, right? We see that on Instagram.
Oh,
I
that's
planting.
preferred integration. That's not in real life.
Carson doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, but he's good. He does keep it. He's good on the old text with something weird.
I like that.
Okay, our next question. Which one of you gives better gifts?
Oh, Blake's Christmas gifts, which is he can't take any credit for, literally showed up last night. So this one's fresh in my mind. But his lovely wife, the best Stefani Shelton alive, Gwen, I mean a giant box. Presents for all the kids, presents for us, presents individually wrapped. Incredible what Gwen is.
So cute.
He rides Gwen's generosity, Christmas gift-giving shine.
I wrapped that, dude. I was in here rapping my face off, getting
Bullshit.
Christmas. What are you talking about?
I feel like my husband too. Like I'm always the one who loves to do it all. And then I always like send it to his family. And then like he'll get a text and I'm always like, run my coattails. I did all that.
You
I
do.
did all that.
You're like a
But I'm like an
Pinterest
elf.
mom.
I like love it. It's like
You have to see her house. It's like Santa's village.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I get
she goes
so
wild.
into the holidays. I'm a
Wait,
holiday
wait.
nerd.
Brie, will you please be in a Hallmark movie, a Christmas movie? You'd be great.
Yes.
I would. Oh my gosh, yeah. I should do that.
Like it's a headlock Christmas or something like that.
Oh,
yes.
that's good. Oh, wow.
I'll produce it for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
So-
do it, Blake. We're going to do that.
Speaking of gifts from Blake, this is the kind of gift that Blake gives. This is Raccoony. Raccoony used to live on the countertop at Blake's Ranch in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And when we were there, my then probably 6-year-old was scared of dogs and would always stay up on the counter and sat next to this raccoon. And my 6-year-old and Raccoony developed a relationship over the week. So much so when we left, Blake said, take Raccoony with you. Just take him with you. Bring him on the plane. Take him. That's the kind of gifts this guy gives. He gives some guys give the shirt off their back. He gives the raccoon off their ledge.
I love it.
The gift of taxidermy.
I actually don't even think I've ever seen a stuffed raccoon before.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's the
there you
first
go.
time.
They're very real.
Very
Oh my gosh. It's
vintage.
actually a pretty one.
Scares my housekeeper to death every time she comes down to the bar.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. I love that the gift was meant for the 6-year-old too.
Oh my
God.
Like, give a kiss.
I've always wanted to look at them up close, so I'm happy I get that now.
Oh my gosh.
Different kind of gift.
So who would you say is the better hugger?
Oh, Blake, he likes back hugs. Do you know what a back hug is?
Yeah. I always give a back hug to my husband.
If I go
when
to
he's,
give
like,
him
in
a
the
hug,
kitchen.
if I go to give him a hug like this is what Blake does. He goes,
Oh.
he gives me his back.
Oh, that is so funny. That's really cute.
It's an offer. It's an offer.
Oh my God.
You, Carson.
That is true.
I'm going to start doing that to people. See what they say.
I know, right?
I mean, actually, I should be doing that right now.
You make a lot of people's day.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So we started in downtown La Jolla, and we were like,
That's right.
that's what we did, remember?
Mhm.
And then we're like, oh, let's just go get one Moscow Mule at Tower 23. So I'm going to proudly say 10 Moscow Mules later.
And
we
three
are
different groups sitting with us.
Brie and I hit up 3 different friends and cousin groups that came by. Well, you, Katie, and I. It was us 3 girls. I think we started there at 11 in the morning. We left. We finally got in our cabs at 9 or 10 p.m.
Yeah.
We did a full day and night at Tower 23. We had 10 Moscow Mules the whole day. We were bumping and grinding in our dresses. It was like a night to remember. I remember we all went home together. We all did a slumber party, and we woke up the next morning like that. That was a crazy day. And we were actually talking about this weekend.
Yeah. And you know what I thought was really funny is in the moment, because none of us were moms, I'm like, oh my gosh, we look like moms gone wild. And who knew later on we'd be back there as moms going wild.
Would not stop blasting the song Make It Nasty. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Make It Nasty. Make It Nasty. That
In
was
our
the
church
song
dresses.
in our church dresses, and we were like feeling it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and Liliana was like, would you remember my birth date still? And I was like, I can't believe I didn't remember it. Can you believe how long we had her fake ID?
I know. And you know what's crazy is the fact that she gave us each an ID and would keep go renewers. Like say I had a lost ID.
But that was like the amazing thing about like that era of Hooter girls is that we were all different ages. And Brie and I were the babies of the group, but we all were different ages within like 5 years, right? Maybe even more. So what was cute was when the older Hooter girls really wanted, like we all wanted to be together. So literally all of us who were under 21, the Hooter girls that were over 21, they'd give us all their IDs and literally go to the DMV and then get new ones. Like all
like
of
they
us,
would go through the process.
They would go to the process so we could all go enjoy. And then what we'd make sure to do is if we all were at the same spots, Liliana would get there first, and then Brie and I shared her IDs, so we'd have to separate time. So sometimes they'd be like, but didn't you just come in? And I was like, oh yeah. But then I had to go out and take a phone call, and they're like, oh, okay. And then Brie one time was just smart. She just picked up a glass and then walked in, and they're like, oh yeah, you already came in.
Yeah. The guy's like, can I see your ID? I'm like, wait, I just walked out to take a call. And he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh fuck, that worked.
Yeah. But even for the other girls who shared IDs, because remember we all would do it. We just all had such a process when we'd all want to go party at the same spot. You just had to give like within an hour. Because
I always felt like I was the
Molly
last.
always use Colleen's? Wasn't that one?
Yes.
And then, so.
And I always felt like I was the
What
last.
a good group of girls.
Yeah. And I was always the last one. So I was the one I felt like with the most anxiety. Like, okay, here's the third Liliana coming through.
Honestly, right?
It's like, great. I'm
Oh
like,
my
whatever.
gosh. But we did it. We all made it work. So then it was like wedding bliss. What a fun weekend.
It was, you know what it is? Weddings are so needed in life.
They're so
I don't
needed.
know. I just wish
I feel
people
like
get married all the
people
time.
need to renew their vows just to have the big
Yes.
party because it's everyone you love under one roof that just doesn't
Walking
care
around the
about
hotel.
what's going on in life. You just are with each other.
I agree. High
And you need
fiving,
to all be in a
dancing.
hotel together. I
You
realize
do.
too, because that's just your focus is everyone in the hotel. You're together till you go to bed. You wake up together. You laugh together. You're hungover together.
Yes.
You do it all.
The vibe is
But
great.
this one was like one of my favorite weekends because what I loved so much about it was you and I made sure to do the wellness stuff that keeps you going.
We did.
So
We
after
did.
the Hooters reunion the next morning, Brie and I went and did a cryo session, infrared bed, and then
lymphatic drainage.
which
I was
the
like, can I get
feet
the
really
works?
needed.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, how good did that
And we were
feel?
going to do an IV, but then we were like, oh no, we don't have time. We want naps before we get
Oh
ready
wait,
for the cocktail
no.
party.
We didn't have time, but you went and got your eyebrows done.
Oh, I got in a little bit of threading. I was like, I'm getting that in. Girl needed it. Okay, so we do all that. We felt so good. By the way, the guy was like, just put your head close to the cryo. When I was in cryo, like if you put it close where the cold air is blowing out, like that'll really help with your head. Well, I think I went a little too close because Brie, when I looked,
All of a sudden you turned around and you had like icicles on your eyelashes. I was like,
yeah,
whoa.
and I was like, just boogies running down my face. I was like, did I just give myself the flu? Like, oh my gosh.
You looked terrifying
I
when you
looked
turned
terrifying.
around. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go.
For for a second, I was like, I think I just did something very wrong. I ruined my weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just leave me.
No, I just was thinking about when we get to when I got the IV.
Oh yeah. So then we have a great time at the cocktail party, and we all were perfect. Well, oh no, I was gonna say perfectly wild, but then we went into the 4-course meal. And it was all of us together, besties. And then Brett and Shauna, I was their third wheel for years and years and years. Like, I remember when they met, and then we just had the best times in San Diego together. They took such care of me.
Brett's one of our best friends' husbands, who's like part of the girl
We call him
group.
one of the girls.
Yeah, he's like one of the girls.
He's the
amazing.
best. And so, so we all then, the girls and Brett, we end up after the cocktail party, we're like, well, we're hungry. Let's eat. So we sit at like 8:30, 8:45, and then we end up doing like a 5-course thing.
I mean, I thought my face was going to, I thought literally I was going to face
We all
plant into
literally
my
were
food.
just crying, laughing because we ended up being, it
So
was
tired.
amazing, but we were there till like 11 and just like stuffed. And like poor waiter towards the end, he didn't realize, he probably thought we were stoned, but we weren't.
know.
We all just were so delirious and tired and crying, laughing. But, so then the next morning, Brie and I booked IVs, and we were so pumped. So we wake up, and we already felt good. We didn't feel bad. I was really good this weekend about more water than alcohol and just space your alcohol. I was, because I was like, I don't want to feel like shit ever. My IV went in great. Brie, on the other hand.
Well, you know, one of those times when they miss a vein and then they have to go to another vein and then you faint. Yeah. So that was me in bed.
She looked like she was like back in labor. Like she looked at me, she was like pitch white, like falling on my shoulder. And I was like,
can you get me the garbage can? I'm about to vomit and faint. So which is fine. A lot of people miss a vein and you go to the next one.
Well, it sounded like they got in your vein, but then there was some blockage.
No, it was not in the vein, which is, I think, what was weirding me out. And then anyways, let's just say that as I was starting,
just got like weird feels.
Oh, the whole time I was in weird feels. I'm like, what am I doing? Did I mess up? Is this it? Like, this is how I'm going out. Like, I was thinking everything in my head as I was starting to almost faint. Anyways, it ended great though. And I felt really good after. Yeah. And so it was, I will say IVs do incredible things because we went from feeling a little fuzzy to like all of a sudden like, let's go work out. Let's go do this. Like,
yeah,
it was great.
Great. Oh, I 100% agree. But it was very funny when Brie's falling on my shoulder though, pitch white, and then we have to get her washcloth, and then I have the IV already in my vein, but then I think I'm getting nauseous because at first I didn't know if she was feeling like that because of the drip, and then I'm like, what did I do? But then we felt great. We had a great workout.
Yeah, one of our best friends walked in and she's like, she even said, whoa, Brie, looks like you're in labor. And I was like, I couldn't even speak. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Your husband's a stand-up comic. Is this the first comedian you've dated?
No.
Of
course not. No.
Do tell.
No, I was in a long relationship with another comedian for 5 years before I met my husband. Yeah, long time. Long time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that was like from the very beginning of me doing stand-up. But it was different because he at the time was working on a show. He was like a working comic, you know, and I didn't want people to know that I was dating. I didn't hide it, but I didn't go around like saying, oh, I'm dating this comic, because I just didn't want people to think of me as, if anything good had happened in my career, they would have accredited it to him.
Oh gosh, yes.
And so
I can't stand that language.
So I was like, let me
Both of us.
just keep it quiet and keep it kind of under wraps a little bit.
That was smart.
Yeah, I just thought, I didn't know a lot about the industry, but I've been a woman my whole life, so I was like, this is how it's going to work. If I want to build something up myself, I know it's going to take longer, but I'll just do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy
Good for
that
you.
people will do that because like they'll always be like, oh, because of Daniel Bryan is why Brie gets stuff. And I'm like, no, it isn't.
Right.
Like, I was doing stuff way before we were dating, but it kills me. Every time I see that, I literally, like...
To get as far as you have gotten, and it's like you have to have talent, and it has to be your hard work. It's not like it was a one-hit wonder type of thing, and someone can say that. But when you keep going, that is talent that keeps you going.
Exactly.
It's so mind-blowing to me how people can be, but it's never the other way around, right?
But you know what? I always think of it this way. They're just saying that because they need a reason for why they don't have the things that you have.
100%.
And so they're going, oh, well, she did it this way and I have more integrity, even though I'm lazy and I won't do it myself. You know what I mean? It's
totally.
Like, all right.
So can we talk about who your grandfather is? Do you ever talk about this? Right. Because when I was reading, your Wikipedia, and then I was just like,
I had no idea I had a Wikipedia. That's crazy.
You have a Wikipedia.
You do.
Okay.
And for our listeners, I have to tell everyone. So she's the granddaughter of James Addison Baker III, who is or was? Was the former Secretary of Treasury of President Ronald Reagan, which, oh my gosh, and the Secretary of State under President George H.W. Bush.
Yeah.
He's
Illuminati.
big time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you close with your grandfather?
As close as you can be to your grandfather when he's a politician, when he's close with the president. You know what I mean?
Good point.
Like I watch Succession and I'm like, this is the exact dynamic between my brothers, my dad and his brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's crazy. I watched that show and I'm like, oh my God, I need a trigger warning. Like this is, because it's fully the sideways compliments and the sort of undercover jabs and the lobbying for power. That's the dynamic I was like born into.
Oh my gosh. How was it growing up in that kind of family?
It's strange because I was sort of like one generation removed from it, but my sisters and I still do it. Like we still kind of do that thing where we're like lobbying and sort of gaining alliances with each other to get into the head of another one. It's like crazy stuff that I'm like in therapy for.
Doing the shadow work for.
Exactly.
I do love shadow work.
Like punching pillows in my therapist's office. But it was crazy. It was crazy, and then I didn't know it. I didn't know it then. I didn't realize it until I was a stand-up, and I was like, oh, this is a part of my story that I've got to talk about, because this is going to be, nobody's going to copy this joke. Nobody's going to take this joke, because this is so specifically my experience. And I joked about it on, Bill Burr did a show on Comedy Central called The Ringers, and he picked a bunch of comedians, and we all did sets about our lives, right? And I started talking about it on stage at that time, and was like, this is risky, because my family didn't even know really that I was doing stand-up. I kind of tried to hide it from them. I was like, I don't know what they thought I was doing. I'm sure they just thought I was like voluntarily poor. And they were like, we don't know what she's like trying to. I was like is it Kendall Roy? Which one's the one that's like a clown that no one respects?
Well, Kendall's, it's Kendall, right? No, it's Kendall, the older brother.
Roman. Yeah, but Roman actually has ambition. I just was the one that like lives outside the family and is like trying to get into environmental work.
So like the brother that lives in Santa Fe.
Yeah, that one with the girlfriend who's like a prostitute.
Yes.
And
which one's his name?
I can't remember.
But that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that played Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
Anyway. So I was like that. I was just this sort of, people were like, we don't know what she's doing, but she believes in herself, and that's cool. And I was like babysitting into my 30s. Like I was just like not getting it together. And so finally when I started talking about it, and they were just like, they found out that I was doing stand-up like by seeing it on TV. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, she's really talking about this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't hear a thing about it from any of my relatives. I didn't hear a single thing about it until I had introduced my now husband to my grandfather over FaceTime. And he was like, I was talking to somebody about you, and I was like, hey, you know, she uses me in her stand-up sometimes, and you know, I'm happy to play the foil or whatever. And I was like, oh, shit. Like,
Oh my
he's
gosh.
definitely seen it. And I just thought no one had seen it. And I was like perfectly comfortable with that. I was like, thank God. I would much rather my family not see any of my stand-up. I don't want them to watch. I try to avoid letting them know when I'm coming into their town for shows. I don't want them to know anything.
Yeah.
So you are like the Mrs. Maisel.
I mean, kinda. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yes.
are.
Yeah. I
I
guess
know
so.
that.
Are they fans now, or is it still like,
I don't know, truth be told. I mean, I think they're proud of me. I guess. I don't know. Like, it's really not spoken about. It's like my sister came out like 2 years ago and nobody talks about it in my family. Like,
Yeah.
in my dad's side of the family, they just don't address it. I don't know what they're going to do when she brings Chloe to a family reunion. I'm dying to watch. I'm like, this is
Oh
going
yeah,
to be
can
hilarious.
you come back on and let us know?
Yes,
We want
absolutely.
details on that.
I'm like, I'm like, which is more of an uncomfortable family secret, that Mary Stewart's gay or that I'm a comic? I want to know which makes them more uncomfortable,
Yeah.
you know?
oh my gosh, it sounds like a
I
episode
feel like
from
we need to
Succession.
like
Yeah.
write a script and
Yeah,
have
I
a
know.
movie on your life. This is just like
a great life. You need to keep
I
the.
feel like it's Oscar winning worthy.
Oh,
It's
thank
just-
you.
Yeah. Oh my
what
gosh.
it is her podcast needs to become a reality show.
Yes,
Honestly,
So
it
we can
really
all
does.
watch it.
agreed.
So obviously we all love watching you guys on Dancing with the Stars, and we all know how hard it is. And I mean, literally Dancing with the Stars, I feel like you have to be the top dancers in the world to be on that show. I want to know, and I'll ask you guys individually, what were some of your worst dancing jobs, like getting there? Gleb, let's start with you.
Oh, shoot. The worst dancing job?
Yeah.
Like, I was doing a little modeling in Russia, and they needed the dancers. And they hired me as a dancer, but what I had to do is I had to, like, on time to, because I came, like, you know, I'm a ballroom dancer. I want to dance. Like, I'm thinking that it's going to be, you know, action. So, but
Some
it's
lock steps and bachicadas.
like a robot, like on time, and come down the stairs. And they were shooting some stupid commercial. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do? Yeah, that was probably the worst job, like a dance job.
Yeah. How about you, Artem?
Oh, hands down, like bar mitzvahs or weddings.
Oh, you did those? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like when I came first to US, I mean, obviously with teaching was one of the jobs, teaching students, but the other one, there was a lot of like weddings, especially in the Russian community. Living in San Francisco at the time, there's a lot of kind of places like that. So dancing the weddings, I think, is the worst, especially if you're a ballroom dancer, because most of the time, whenever you start dancing, everybody already drunk. So you're literally just dancing for people who really don't really care much. Not that they should, but at the same time, it was like kind of, yeah, wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, I get that. Nicole, I mean, when you were dating Artem, you never asked him what was the worst dance?
I just found out that
Job you
he
had?
was in college like a few months ago. Like Artem and I did things very fast.
I guess. No intimate conversations?
We learned I try to have intimate conversations with Artem, and they only go so far.
You never asked me about college.
Well, I mean, you never mentioned college, so I just assumed like you didn't do college.
No,
I
but
don't
you
know.
should have
I didn't
asked.
know he had a degree. Whatever. The best is, so we're at the family dinner table and it gets brought up and JJ talks about Artem's degree. And then of course I shouldn't have done this in front of my family, but I look at him and I go, you went to college? And they all looked at me like, you're about to marry this guy and you didn't know he went to college? And I was like, no. I had no idea. I just assumed you just danced starting like at 13 and made it all the way through. I didn't know there was education in between there for some reason.
Oh, Nicole. Oh,
I mean, like,
Nicole.
I knew high
There
school.
was.
Dance, and I tell you this, you can be like book smart or you can be street smart. And dance, because, listen, we hustle. Where we are right now, we hustle our asses off to come from small towns, small cities, from Russia with no papers, with no English, with nothing, to on Dancing with the Stars and, you know, being on your guys' podcast right now. So
Right.
for us, this is like the
And we
biggest...
still have no papers.
but hey, I tell you one thing, that Sasha is opposite. he was at the wedding bar mitzvah, and he looked that I want to do this. That's how he started dancing.
Yeah, is that how you started dancing, Sasha?
Yeah, I was at my own bar mitzvah, and like there was a show. No, actually, no. I was at a bar mitzvah, and there was a show there, and I was like, fuck, I want to do what these guys are doing. And then my bar mitzvah came along, and bam, guess who the halftime show was?
No,
you!
Yay!
Your own bar mitzvah.
Did you break dance? What was the dance at your bar mitzvah?
No, it was like,
It was
I
probably
just started
ballroom.
dancing, so I was doing a cha-cha to Gloria. Just forward together, back, forward together for about a minute. You could tell the people were just bored as fuck. They weren't even watching.
They're like eating food. You see, that's why I don't like those things.
Yeah, but I was just doing like forward together, side together for about 2 minutes.
Oh my God, I love that. It brings tears to my eyes. That's amazing. So then what would be your worst dance job?
Oh God, I have a ripper.
The tour.
We were doing promotion, and our, I guess, boss, whatever, he's like, we need to get promotion for the show, and the World Championship netball team, girls, is arriving to the airport, and there's going to be a lot of press. We want you guys to be there at the baggage claim during a dance. Yeah, so we're at this baggage claim, dressed in full fucking costume. People are coming off the plane with their suitcases. There's press there to take, like, the national netball team that just won. And they're like, okay, and go. And fucking Magdalena starts playing, and we're, like, dancing our asses off. And they're just trying to take their bags. And then we have to stop because it wasn't their flight. They're like, wait, cut, it's not there.
Oh my gosh, no.
It was just one of those memories that you go, oh God, I've come a long way from baggage claim.
Oh yeah. I feel the same. I've had plenty of really bad wrestling jobs where we've been at, and now I look and I'm like, well, you know what? I actually appreciate those because I'm like, it does mold us all, right? And I feel
absolutely. I mean, to be fair though, I feel sick every time I'm in a baggage claim taking my suitcase because I'm like, wow.
You get like
Now
anxiety.
I know how that person felt trying to get their bags and get in a taxi while I'm trying to fucking bash Carter in their face.
So, Nikki, I feel like first what I really want to get into, I mean, there's so many things I want to get into, but we have to talk, I mean, it doesn't have to be quickly, but about Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my God,
Because
that's all I want to talk about.
Compete. I know, right? And Brie, so I think you already know, but she danced with Gleb.
Yes, because we were at the People's Choice Awards that
Oh,
you
were
hosted.
hosting.
No,
Yes.
it was MTV.
Or
It was the MTV.
Or
No,
no.
you're right. It was the MTV. Is the longest name for it. It's the MTV TV and Movie Awards Unscripted. It was just like the longest title.
Yes,
I can't even remember it, but that was what it was. Yes, and then I did a bunch of jokes about having danced with Gleb for one episode. Well, it was two. 'Cause
Yes.
I was eliminated first, but I got 2 episodes because it was a 2-episode premiere. So it was a short-lived
that's
experience, but I'm like obsessed with my time on Dancing with the Stars because before that first episode, you put in so much work, and it seems like, oh, they just kick you off the first person and they don't matter, and like they weren't even on it that long, but there was like a month before that of like a lot of hard work, and it just ended. And when you get kicked off, they just like claw machine you and then throw you back into your, like, they take you out of this world, this amazing world where you're a star. You literally, that's your title, is one of the stars, and you're treated like one, and you are just like, just tossed out. I felt like it was like a one-night stand. I had to remind them to invite me to come back for the finale. I was like, hey, you said I can maybe come back. And they're like, well, we'll get back to you. They weren't returning my text. It was like really weird, but I was obsessed with it. And I was
Oh my
obsessed with
gosh,
your
yeah.
dances. Because you did the season
yeah.
before, right?
Well, I think, I was season 25.
Okay, I was 27. I mean, that's a ridiculous number of seasons. The number sounds like a joke.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I mean, I got a baby out of mine. So
Yeah, you did.
That worked out. But yeah, it's such an incredible experience. And like Gleb, we just love Gleb. So I mean, obviously you see him and Artem are like brothers.
Best friends.
So-
Yes. And he was
who would have thought? Now we're all on E together.
yeah.
I know.
Well,
Now
I
we're,
was
like, all
on E. And now I'm just
Well, us too.
sometimes right. Right. Yeah. We were all on. Yeah. I had a show on E for a minute. Yeah. The Dancing with the Stars thing. it just, it really, it was, yeah, Gleb was my partner. He's so hot. And, as you've been around him, like he's one of these people that like what you see him and you just have to be like, you're hot. Like you have to say it to his face. Like it just comes out of you because he's so disarmingly good looking. It's almost like you're not even saying it to be like, I like you. You're just like, it's like admiring a sunset. You're like, look at that. It's so pretty. And he even has like stock lines to deal with being hot in public. He's just like, yeah, I know, it's just, oh yeah. Like he's just used to like people just being like, oh my God, like stopping traffic. He's one of those people. So it was awesome dancing with him. And then he was kind of Russian and cruel to me at times. But that was just his way. I didn't realize that's how they talk. And they just tell the truth and they're not going to sugarcoat it. And I think at one point he just kind of realized, oh, I'm not going to go far in the show with this person. And so it's kind of like, I don't know. I just felt my partner, it felt like he had filed for divorce, but hadn't told me yet. Like I was just waiting to get the papers. Like we were dead in his mind because I look like I can maybe dance. Like I look like I could have been a ballerina at some point, or at least at this point I was pretty thin lady walking in there. And I could see his eyes like light up when he met me because he had no idea who I was. And he's like, yes, this is going to be good. And then he just did like a little dance with me. And I could see his face just fall. I just knew he knew there was no hope for us. It was really funny. But then once we were eliminated, we were able to be like friends and actually like chill out and enjoy each other's company. So I have a lot of love for Gleb still. We're still friends. You both have them.
Are you ever going to have kids?
I don't think so. Guys, I'm about to be 39 in a month. And so it was like 6 months ago was when it was time to get my eggs frozen if I was going to do it. Everyone was kind of like, it's already too late, but you might as well try. And I went to go do it. And I was just so emotional about it because I knew I was just doing it for a future husband who refused to adopt. Like a guy I hadn't met yet in the future would not adopt. And so I was paying all this money and doing all these things to myself because I don't mind adopting. And I've never really wanted kids. I was always kind of waiting for that instinct to kick in where I want to have my own. And it's just I never cared about it. And that's just my thing, most people do. And so I just was crying to the doctor and saying, I'm just doing this because of the patriarchy and because there's some man who wants his own DNA in a baby and I don't even care. I'll let him pick out an egg. We'll look at a book of models and we'll pick out an egg donor. And she was like, don't do this. And so I didn't do it. So it's kind of, it's an interesting thing I don't think I want them and I don't think I'm going to have them. It's still at an age where I could figure out something. And there is always adoption if I want to do it down the road. But there also is the thing of like, because I don't think I'm going to have kids, I just spent $13,000 on Taylor Swift tickets and didn't blink an eye. Like, it's like, I know that sounds like
how much they cost.
Dude, I'm the biggest Taylor Swift fan that you're going to find. And so I don't have a car. I drive my mom's old shitty car. I live in an apartment that I rent in St. Louis. I don't spend money on anything. And so that wasn't me bragging about some big ticket item. This is the most I've ever spent on anything. Then they did. I mean, they were on StubHub. They were originally $400, but people sell them to sell them. And then I got 2 tickets, $13,000. But I felt so much guilt about buying it. But then I go, I don't have a college fund that I need to put into. I don't need to give my daughter swim lessons or like, let me just spend some of this month.
For you.
And
now, were they good seats?
Front row.
Were they good seats?
Okay,
there you go.
Yes. So that's what I was paying for. You get it.
Yeah. Brie and we get it. We spent almost that for the Eagles game and we were fourth row for Super Bowl. And so,
yes. Okay.
And we had actual mom guilt about it, but we were like, okay, we get like a paid post for Super Bowl week.
Yes.
And it's a certain price. And that means these tickets are meant to be. And then we got one and we're like, well, we're just going to do it.
And we were like, our kids can go to community college instead of like a D1 school.
Don't you find that when you're your most confident and you're most secure, that's your best performance, whether you've practiced the most or not? It's like, it kind of comes down to that ultimately.
Always. And I always feel like when we're super confident, like when we did a live show last week, a live podcast show in San Francisco, we almost become oversharers because we're so confident with ourselves and our sexuality and our families. So we overshare everything. And then her and I might get a little anxiety days after, and we're like, did we overshare too much? Were we too sexual?
Well, for me, it's not that. I think what it is when you, and you know this, Nikki, is when you start to feel the energy from the live crowd, and the minute they laugh at one thing, you're like, oh, so that's what you like. I said vagina. So we're going to get in more. Deep. Yeah. We're going to get deep in the vaginas. And I think that's what it is. People love the sex talk. And then you just go full on deep. And then Artem's like, I can't believe she just said that. I'm just sharing the sex life. He's right there. And all the things happen.
You're so right. You lose control. And because you want to give them what they want, you feel what works. And I think that is, that I struggle with it because I am so open about sex. So I've always felt like I'm not just doing it because it's the easy laugh or it's the easy way. It is, though. Let's be honest. Like, talking about sex, saying shocking things, that's going to get people's reactions to be, they're going to laugh harder or have more of a response. So maybe it's a little bit easy, but I don't know that it's that easy to talk frankly about sex, whether or not it comes out. I think what you're able to do, whether you didn't mean to say it or not, the fact that it came out, not a lot of people have that ability to do it. And I do think that whether or not it's you or me trying to give them what they want and maybe oversharing, and it can be kind of like TMI sometimes, like, why did you do that? I think it is important because so many people don't talk about that stuff to anyone. Yeah, they don't they don't even have best girlfriends that talk about it. I think that's what podcasts are so good, female podcasts where we can talk about this stuff, because it makes women have feel like they have friends that they're able to talk about this stuff with. And I think it just, you can't, sometimes I try to back away from sex stuff because I think even I'm sensitive a little in what you're saying is like, were we too sexual? Because people can write you off when you're too sexual. Totally. She's just using that as a crutch. She's not really that smart. She's not really that talented. They're just showing skin because, and maybe showing skin because I'm a little insecure of my talent. It doesn't mean I'm not talented. It just, this is a thing that culturally I've been programmed to do, but it doesn't. And then I back away from the sex stuff and I go, wait, they're winning. This is right. I get shamed, and now we all don't talk about sex stuff. You know what happens when you don't talk about sex stuff and little girls don't know about sex and they walk into their first sexual encounter not knowing the ins and outs of what is to be expected, what isn't to be expected? Weird stuff happens, uncomfortable stuff happens, and they don't know that it's not what's supposed to happen.
Right. And the emotions of it, because I think that's such a big play. And especially, think of like those emotions when you're in your teens and then your 20s and your 30s. Everything's always different, even, 40s and so on. But that's why I also think it's so important to openly talk about it because of the emotional part of it. Like when shit does get weird, like, am I the only one feeling this way? Yes. Like, am I, and like, I want to say no. Or also some people are super sexual and some people can care less if they have sex with someone. Yes. So then those are all those feelings too. Like, shoot, like, am I normal? So that's why I do feel it's so important. And this shit's funny.
Shit's funny.
It's so fun to hear. Yeah. It's so fun to hear people's stories. I love it. I want to hear more.
I do too.
I'll stare at people and I'll admit I will visualize them having sex because I'm so curious. I'm like, wow, how does that work? Or
like a couple holding hands. Yeah. I totally think of that too. Whenever I see a pregnant woman, I'm like, she got cummed in. Like, I'm like thinking of like the nastiest thing she was doing. And it's like, she's just like this woman at the grocery store. I'm like, I know she got rode. Like she was riding a dick hard. Like, and she's like this like sweet mom, but it's like, but that's what's so funny about sex is that we all exist because of it. We all unless you're asexual, which is a whole other thing, you think about it all the time. And if you're asexual, you also think about how you're not thinking about it all the time. So sex is constantly affecting everything we do all the time. And it's something that we're not talking about. And I think that's why I gravitated towards comedy and was because I was like, wow, this thing that I've always wanted to talk about that people used to look at me weird when I would ask questions about or talk openly about, a thing that I was scared of. Let's go back to the scared thing. I didn't have sex till I was 21. I didn't kiss a boy until I was 17. I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 24. I was scared of sex, scared of boys, fascinated by it, loved watching porn, loved looking it up on the computer, loved reading about it and hearing about it, wanted to hear everything about my friends' lives. I didn't get my period till I was like 15, but I like already knew how to put in a tampon because I would just ask my friends about like, I never wore pads. Like my first period, I was just like put in a tampon like an old grizzled like sailor woman. Because I had gleaned all this information, but I was terrified of sex. And I think that's what I was terrified of it because I didn't know anything. And I think as soon as I was able to, I discovered comedy and then I was like, I discovered kind of female comics that talked about sex openly. And I was like, this is so cool that you get now all the things that I've always wanted to talk about. I can get paid to do it. Or not paid yet, but like in the beginning, people would like me because it was just so cool. And it's just freeing. And I just, but I still get hurt when people write me off for being just a sex comic or they say, don't watch her special with your kids around. I'm like, why are you watching comedy specials with your kids? Why do you need to say that?
Right.
All my imposter syndrome stuff comes in of like, you did find an easy route. You aren't smart enough to be a clean comic. Clean comics have to work harder. So you're actually a lazy, take the easy road, raunchy. You like to offend people. You like to hurt people's feelings. I start to go into this place of like, you're just a selfish, lazy, me. I want attention. Like I buy into all of what I think they think I am. And I know I'm not that at my core, but it does rob me of that confidence. And I struggle with it all the time. I mean, I think listening to you guys and your podcast, I relate with so much. I think that people probably project a lot onto you of being so confident, so badass, because you are in all these ways. But I'm sure you also struggle with just even hearing you talk a little bit about just second guessing things you said, like you said the other night, like oversharing things or, that one line, why did I say it this way? And I couldn't have done it that way. Those little things that like haunt you or, let's talk about the worst thing that can hold us back. And I'm sure you guys are no stranger to it, is comparing yourself to other people and what they're doing. I think that for me is my number one thing that holds me back, is comparing myself to others and predicting what people are going to say when I do something that's a little out of the box, how I'm going to be made fun of.
Yeah.
Fearing that someone's going to screenshot it and start a girls chat about like how like, oh my God, look how like she thinks she's hot. Like, honey, you're a comedian. Stop trying to be a model. You're old. Look at her skin. Look at her. Look at what work she's had done. And you know why I think that? Because I do that to women. Like, it starts with me. So I'm trying not to gossip as much. And that's just something to learn too late in life, that is just like such a sickness.
I would consider us maybe not pushovers, but we were just too nice.
We were very nice.
Yes.
And
I didn't want to be the dickhead in business. So I was like, I'm going to take the different route.
and
I'm
it's
gonna
not
be
even
nice.
that you didn't want to. You
Then you get fucked
yeah.
when you're nice.
And
right?
you also, I mean, let's use the word, you're divas, but you don't want to be known as a diva, as a bitch, as someone who like gets talked about as like, oh, she came in here and just bossed. You just want to be, you want people to like you.
Right.
Well, have a good experience with you.
Totally.
Because if we all have a bad day, we're bitches. Everyone else can have a bad day, but if we have a bad day, then like all of a sudden you're labeled a bitch.
Well,
you're labeled high
and I've always wanted to be a bitch in that way. Like I'm like, can I just be a bitch before like someone crosses the line? Because I'm usually only a bitch once that line's crossed. I want to be a bitch before it.
Your 39-year-old self is saying that, which is the beauty.
I want to be a bitch.
Which is the beauty of getting older, is you stop caring. You don't care about hurting people's feelings.
Right. That is the greatest thing about getting older.
It's the greatest thing. I'm just like,
true.
This is how I feel. Game over.
Yes.
No one's going to change my mind.
But on your, journey and being like the first Iron Chef, like, did you ever have those moments of like, because, us being in a male-dominated industry, it was like we had those moments of like you're fighting to change the no's into yeses, but you have those breakdown moments of like, can us women really do this? Can we be equal to the men? And there was just all these obstacles and barriers. And I just remember feeling like, wow, can we do this? I don't know if we can. And then that fire comes in, you're like, yes, we can. Did you have those moments?
I think I did. But I really felt like when I became an Iron Chef, I did a lot before I became an Iron Chef when I was in restaurants. Restaurants is a whole different ball game than TV.
Yeah.
TV, you can create your own destiny in a lot of ways, and that's what I try to do. I think in restaurants, it was hardcore. And especially being in a female and, as you said, male-dominated industry where you had to fight and scrap for every single thing and every promotion and every position. So I think it was when I became an Iron Chef, there was a whole different level of respect amongst the men.
Yeah.
And because I beat a lot of really top chefs in the world, on Iron Chef, and was able to showcase that. And it's real. There's no production part of the cooking. Right?
Yeah.
And it's real. It's the real deal. You get 1 hour and it's, and it's go and it's high octane. So I think that I was able to change the whole, paradigm of what people expected from women in that way. And I think I really felt like I gained a lot of respect when I got, by all of my male peers, became the first female inducted into the Culinary Hall of Fame. And that was a big, that was a time when I was like, okay, I know that I've garnered a lot of respect because of my hard work and going out there and being fierce.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, another history-breaking thing.
Yeah.
Because you were the first woman.
Even before my mentor, Julia Child, who I spent a lot of time with. I knew before.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. So I knew Julia Child, and I was able to spend time at her home, which is now in the Smithsonian Institute, the one in Cambridge, and I was able to spend some time with her and get mentoring from her, and she was amazing. She's exactly how you see her on television, the way Meryl Streep.
I loved that movie.
Yeah, she's exactly the same way. She was always, hugely supportive. And the one thing she always told me that I've always done in my industry and other industries as well, and even on shows like this, is always pay it forward.
Yes.
Like whatever you do, always pay it forward.
Gosh, I love that. And it's true. It's like once the facts are there, it's like you have to respect that, especially in what you do. Like no one's cheating on cooking.
Yeah.
We're watching it. You're doing your thing. It's like
no
that's
one
just
can
God-given talent, right?
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
And I love it because, you do all these incredible things, and then I get to do the Dirty Dancing with Kat, and then next I'm at all these airports, and I'm like, wait, Kat Cora restaurant, Kat Cora restaurant. I'm like, and I know her.
Yeah, I mean, I was just tripping out alone on the Thomas Keller and Don Giovanni's thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's just crazy, like everything.
It's really incredible, and I think what's amazing too, Kat, is you paved a path for women in that industry, and people don't even realize, I think, at times how hard it is for women to be chefs, top chefs, to compete against men. But it must be such an incredible feeling to know this road you paved for so many women who are up and coming or here. Do you get a lot of women come up to you saying thank you?
Oh, yeah. I get a lot of women. I get a lot of young girls. We have a lot of, and we have a mentorship program too for young women who are aspiring chefs. And so, we've helped men and women, young guys that are trying to, we just got a young man who was homeless. He wanted to be a chef, and we called I called my alma mater in New York, Culinary Institute of America, and I said, this guy's got a lot of passion. He's going to be great one day. You've got to get him in school, and he's graduating in April. So it's things like that. So it is a lot of women. It's a lot of I think that
but men too.
But men too, and young guys. And I think it's also, for moms.
Yeah.
For me, I think right now in this moment, I really want to, showcase to a lot of moms who are out there struggling, going that think that this is it. This is not it. This is just the beginning. And don't be afraid to own that. And don't be afraid to try something different and be vulnerable. And that's what I teach my 6 teenage boys, is like showing them. And I thought they would be, we watched the premiere together in the shows, and I thought they'd be like, oh, Mom, with their hands over their eyes, Mom. But you know what? They turned around and they were like, God, we're so proud of you, which made me feel so good. They were like, wow, what you did out there. And so I think it's just for struggling moms out there who, don't be afraid to take risk, and don't be afraid. I'm going to be 55 in April. Don't be afraid to take risk and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Try something different.
I love that, because being a mom now, it's like I get where you hit that point, like I want to do all these things, but then the mom guilt comes in and the judgment. I told Brie, that's a whole new world.
I told Nicole, I'm like, you're about to have a baby. Just know you're going to come into a world of judging.
True.
Yeah. I was like, but that's like so inspiring to me, because it's like, it doesn't mean when we become moms, like our dreams just die. Like we're still allowed to dream, and want to fulfill the vision board, and
we're allowed to evolve.
And
That's
you're
a
allowed
thing.
to, yeah, you're allowed to be you and evolve. And just because this was your path for very long doesn't mean you can't take on another identity and reinvent yourself as well,
Exactly.
because I don't think you're ever too old to learn. You're ever too old to reinvent yourself and be vulnerable. I think it's just about being vulnerable. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the strengths. When you find your vulnerability, I think that's a strength. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. And to lean into that and, and not let people judge you, because there's always going to be, and we know when you're also in the public eye, there's always going to be judgment. And you have to really almost let it be vapor in a
Yeah.
sense, and just believe in you and what you're doing is right for you in that moment and your purpose. And I think kids, your children are going to, when you reach out for something, yes, you might miss a day with them because you're out following a dream. But I think that is going to empower them even more. And you're going to be better for them when you come back home.
Michael, speaking of Magic Mike, I'm kind of bummed that you didn't show up to my bachelorette party.
Me too.
Because I really could have used a Magic Mike lap dance.
Well,
We saw you there. We saw your moves.
It's a little embarrassing. It's a little, you know what? I don't know if you're making me blush, even though you can't tell. Oh my God. Okay. But
maybe if we do
had
Casey's
I
and Man
known-
Cave, we get it.
Yes. If I have enough tequila, you definitely would get a lap dance. No
Nice.
doubt.
Love
No doubt.
We'd get a Magic Mike routine, and then you get a Magic Brie routine. That's right.
Yes.
No, don't make it about you.
I can
This
always
is about
make it about
Michael
me.
right now. We need to know, how was that training? Yeah, see, look, you still got it.
Yes, you do.
You know, the training was cool. I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed it. It was a lot different than football, I can tell you that much.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
my bad.
but it wasn't like I was training like dancing, like a professional dancer. So when I got there, they kind of gave me some choreographed moves that I had to do. But it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I'm not used to being like butt naked, basically. But we do rehearsals, and I'm like, oh, cool, this is cool or whatever. Well, I didn't know when we were shooting a scene that I was going to be in a room full of women. Like, it was like, okay, all the extras are here. They got money, fake money. And I didn't know that Channing and all the other actors and Jada were like in this scene. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm just kind of picturing myself doing my thing. And I walk in and I got on the robe and they're like, you ready? And I'm going, oh my God, oh my God.
Gosh.
Oh my God. I guess so. Bam, I do it. And after the first time, I was like, oh, we need to do that again. That was pretty good.
I liked it.
I would have been a stripper if football didn't work out. I tell you that.
Heck yeah. Well, have you ever tried a pole dance?
No, I've
That's
messed
hard.
around a little bit. I had one late night of tequila, actually with Queen Latifah.
Oh, no.
And and we were at One Oak. And it was cold there.
Love that place.
And every time I see her, we kind of look at each other and give a little nod and a little smile.
That is amazing. I wish I was there. I need to now hang out with you, Mike. I think we'd have a lot of
We
fun
do.
going out.
Yeah.
Oh, we would. We definitely would. And that's the part. We've never hung out. Like, we always, in passing, I see you, we work together, but we don't hang out. We got to hang out because I know
We
we'd have
do.
a lot of fun.
Well, and especially, we share a birthday. So like, we
I
just,
know. How crazy is that?
That is
How crazy is that?
That's wild.
Out of all the days, here we all are, Scorpios, November 21st.
Yeah.
Maybe we
And
can all go out
proud.
on our birthdays. And so proud.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
good. Okay. Yeah. I'm good to go out on the birthday. I love a good birthday going out.
Me too.
And November 21st is the best day of the year. So why not celebrate it?
Of course.
Exactly. And this year it's the Monday before Thanksgiving, which is always a hard time sometimes with our birthdays.
Yeah.
They always fall like right before Thanksgiving, which anytime you invite someone, they're like, well, I'm going out of town or I have to be super healthy because I'm going to eat so much in a couple days. And I'm like, what? My birthday.
Well, this year, but what sucks, I think this year for me, I think I might have to go to Qatar.
Oh, really?
Is that
for
football?
Fox. Yeah,
Nicole,
I think
Qatar, that's
I
a
think I'm
country.
in Qatar for football for Fox. We're going to do a show from over there. And Nicole's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing here. And or I might be in Chile for GMA. I'm not sure. One of those, I think I'm actually there for that week. Yeah,
Well, then you're
kind
gonna
of
have
messed up my birthday.
Yeah, but then you could have fun, being somewhere else and do something cool.
Yeah, I got to have a foreign type birthday.
Yeah. We've had plenty of those, right? Wrestling.
There you go.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
then we'll celebrate with
Guitar
you in
collection.
spirit. Wait, is that the first time NFL is that the first time they're going to be performing in Qatar?
I know our show, we stopped there one time at the military base because we actually went to Afghanistan, Bagram Airfield, and to do a show, which is really, wow. Like, wow. It makes you realize the sacrifice that troops really make for us to feel and have our freedom here. And it was really an amazing trip, a really eye-opening trip. But we're going back to that military base this year to do a show just out of appreciation for the troops. Because every year we do it. Yeah, every year we do a show. We do them from military bases, or we do them from the last 3 or 4 years. We've done them from West Point. We've done it for the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy. So we try to mix it up. But every year we do something for the troops.
Oh, we'd love that. We used to do that too, tribute to the troops, and we'd go wrestle around. But did you know we actually attempted the obstacle course at West Point?
Yeah.
And?
So I
finished it.
Yes, but we did bad.
Well,
we finished, but we did bad.
But that's already winning if you finish.
That's true. We didn't quit. And there was one of the things I was having a hard time climbing or jumping on. I can remember, and I had one of the military boys give me like a good little push. And
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part? Because I've always looked at those and go, oh, I can do that. But what was the hardest part? Like climbing the wall with the rope or something?
Yes.
Anything of the lift, like pulling up. Well, I'm terrible at pull-ups. So I feel like anything that I had to like pull myself up on the ropes, I was like, yeah, okay.
Well, and I think too, you forget the just whole movement of having to go down and back up when you're racing. Like that's just, you lose your breath so quick.
Brie, you were a wrestler. I mean, we'd slam a girl, we'd get up,
Yeah.
we'd heal the crowd. I mean, are you serious?
I know. That's why when I looked at the obstacle course, I was like, easy. And then I started doing it. I'm like, not easy.
That's why I was the longer champ and you weren't. So.
Whatever.
As my career has progressed, I've begun to understand more how connection is so important, because I think when I started out, I was really selfish. I was like, I love performing. It makes me feel good. I enjoy it. But then when I started to realize other people's joy in my performance, that kind of like transaction that we were having of energy is just like, it becomes more and more important as time goes on to me.
Oh, yeah.
Now, was there a moment that you can remember that you sat and you're like, I need to write this book. Like, I need to connect with everyone. What was that moment?
There were 2 times, 2 big ones. One was 2019. I was on stage with the Spice Girls. We did a stadium tour in the UK. And it was the first time I think all of us looked out and we looked at the audience and we really took it in. It really started to sink in what we'd achieved and how we'd had this impact on a generation of people and new generations that were discovering the Spice Girls. And it was like, wow, we did this. I think to see like stadiums going crazy for our music, like 25 years later, you know, that was wild, right?
I have goosebumps.
I have chills.
So I was like, oh my gosh. And that like really inspired my album I released in 2020. And it was all about, you know, realizing you're all of these things all of the time. Like, I am Sporty Spice. I am a solo artist. I am a mom. You know, I don't do different things on different days. I'm all of these people all of the time. And that was like, that just really, so many things fell into place for me. And then, of course, we had the pandemic in 2020 and just having that bit of time to reflect and just think about my life. I thought, you know what, it's an incredible story. And I started to want to tell it. And then I met a great publisher and he was like, look, it's your book. It can be whatever you want it to be. And I was like, yeah, I want to achieve a lot with this book. And that was kind of what got the wheels in motion.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, you guys truly are like the female Rolling Stones. Like, right? No one, well, No one's
Well, if
ever
you even
touched-
think about it, like Halloween's coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know
There's gonna
like
be a
a
ton
quarter of
of-
America will be dressed up as Spice Girls. It's a every year thing when you're out trick or treating. You always see a Spice Girl. Someone's dressed up as a Spice Girl, which I mean, how is that? How does that feel? Like that, the way all of you look, like you guys connected to someone different in your group, which was so amazing. But every year it's like you can look out and if you dress up as Sporty Spice, people will go, oh, that's cool. You're Sporty Spice. Like that has to be incredible. Incredible feeling.
It's so funny. Can you imagine like going online and looking at Halloween costumes and there's one which is you?
I know. I mean, that's nuts.
With the pony and like a six pack and all this stuff. It's so funny. But, you know, I love it. It works for me on Halloween because I go out with Sporty Spice. And no one suspects a thing.
Oh my gosh, I
didn't
didn't
even think. It's like freedom. Halloween's freedom for you. Oh my God, that's so amazing.
That is, you know, if your daughter was like, Mom, I want to be in a girl band, like I want to follow in your footsteps, would you be hesitant or would you lead her almost in a way or how would you feel?
Well, you know what? My mum is always so cool. She was like, whatever you want to do, I will support you. And my mum is a singer too. So she knew it was hard. But, you know, she was like, you have to follow your dreams and your passion because we share our passion for music. When my daughter started to tell me that, you know, she'd never want to be a singer, she never wants to be a performer, I have to be honest, I was really relieved. And I think because, you know, if it was her passion, then great. And I would fully support her. But I think being the child of somebody who's been successful in that field, I think it can be really hard to like come out from that shadow, you know, and I wouldn't want that for her. She's amazing and she's really creative. She's really visually creative. She's a great artist. And I just think she's going to pave her own way. And I think that's a much better way to go.
Oh, yeah, that really is. Now, how has it been to balance motherhood and being, you know, just in having a big career? Has it been hard?
Oh my goodness, it's so hard. You know, I think obviously parenthood, that is the hardest. It's the toughest job on the planet, right? And then, you know, add into the mix working and then traveling with your work. And I'm a single mom as well. So yeah, it's tough and lots of support from family members and, you know, people helping me out, friends helping me out. Yeah, I think there's a lot of guilt attached to being a parent. I find it hard being away from her, but she is amazing. She's incredible. And yeah, she's very supportive. I talked about this trip and like coming home a day early. And she's like, Mom, you're nuts. You got a day off, you know, in LA. Just just hang out and have a good time. And I'm like, no, I want to get home to you. She's like, I wouldn't.
Yeah. That's actually really cute.
It's
And that
so
must be
cute.
a great feeling for a mom because I can imagine. I mean, even this morning, I was telling Nicole, I was like almost in tears driving my kids to school because I was really tired this morning when I woke up, didn't sleep great. So I felt like there was a couple moments I took it out on them. They weren't moving at my pace. Then I felt guilty, then awful. And then in the car, when you're driving, you actually get to sit down and like count to 100. And then, you know, I'm just like, kids, you know, sorry, mommy just was really tired this morning. But we realize our kids are really resilient. Like they get it. They're like,
right. And I think for me being in the entertainment industry, and I don't know if you felt this way, because I heard Artem say this about me the other day. He's like, yeah, she's a very overcautious mom. And I was like, overcautious? Like I'm very protective and I think that's okay. Like, or, you know, we're on TV, but were you like that growing up? Because I just carry worry around all the time with him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, totally. And I mean, they're the things, aren't they? Like from being a parent, it's the guilt, the worry. Yeah, they never stop. And just that love, no matter how crazy your kids make you, you just never stop loving them, do you? Sometimes you're like,
no.
yeah.
I
But, you
know.
know, and then they just do something super cute and you're like, oh, just the best thing.
Right. Melts your heart. And then
so
you want to
true.
share it with everyone. And I always feel bad because I'm like, I'll text it to like so many people. I'm like, oh, they probably don't even give a shit. They're like, oh, okay, cool. But I just find it to be so amazing. I'm like, oh my God.
But you could always text it to me.
Yeah.
Do you actually remember any mom hacks you had with toddlers?
Oh, I was quite lucky with Scarlett, actually. We didn't get terrible twos, but I used to do this thing. I used to call it the death grip. So if she ever actually had a tantrum, and she'd always do it in public, and you know when you're in the public eye and then your kid has a meltdown in front of loads of people, you're so self-conscious, aren't you? But I used to put one arm like just up in between her legs, the other one like over her shoulder, and just like carry her home.
Oh my God.
And she'd be kicking and screaming, and I just used to think, I don't know what people are thinking of me right now, but I've got to get this kid and get them out of the street.
Yeah, that is so. And Brie, we should be able to do that quite easy. I think
I think that might be a move, right?
That might be a move. I was like, that sounds like what I used to do to girls in the ring.
But that's good because it calms them. And but yeah, our boys right now, so our boys are 22 hours apart, but they're in those terrible twos, and they're giving us quite a run for our money.
Yeah.
Yes,
and my daughter, right, she would never, because do you guys do naughty step? Or like
No,
naughty
what's naughty
corner?
step?
So this is something they use a lot in the UK for like if your child's like behaving badly, you have to go and sit on the naughty step, right? And you have to go and sit there for a minute.
Oh
my
gosh.
daughter would not have it. She's so headstrong. I would like plonk her on the naughty step and she'd just come running after me. She'd be like dragging on my leg, like I'd be pulling her across the floor. And you know, these children that actually like stand in the corner and think about their actions. I'm like, that's not my girl. But you know what? I'm glad because like she's got girl power, you know.
Yeah, she does.
Nothing she don't want to do.